What's up, everyone? I'm Andy, and you're watching the Reboot Experiment. I'm here in my aunt's garage right now because it happens to be where we're storing the majority of the things that we're buying for the house, more specifically for the windows. Now, these are the windows that I bought at auction, and because I bought them at auction and didn't get to customize them, there are things I need to do before I install them. We're going to go through that today, and then later I'm going to go back inside. I'm going to show you the design of these windows, how I placed them in the house, and how I saved tons of money doing it that way. So today I'm going to take a look at these nail fins. As I said, I bought these windows at auction and they came pre-installed with these nailing fins. Now, normally a nailing fin is designed to go on a standard construction house. You would nail this to your main framing, and then you would do your siding on top and have a nice clean finish. In my case, because I'm building a log home, there is no siding. The exterior of my house is my siding. So these nailing fins or nailing strips have to come off. The good news is it's super easy to do. I'm going to show you 2 easy ways of getting them off. Then we're going to go back inside and talk about design. So let's get started. The first method I'll show you is your best option, and all you need is a utility knife. Just run a sharp utility knife along the edge of the fin a few times, then bend it back and forth. The biggest issue with the scoring and snapping method is when you have a long strip, like on the side of this window. Bending this is actually going to be very, very difficult because it's being supported by the rest of this long strip. So you have to kind of work on it piece by piece. Start at the weakest point and get that to bend. That, and then continue working your way down until the whole thing bends. It's really difficult to do. It's certainly not something I can do while I'm holding the camera. So I'm going to put the camera down. I'm actually going to flip the window on its side so that I have a little more leverage for the snap. And then we're going to snap this off. The easiest way by far to bend this nailing fin is to use my palm and press against the fin as I work my way down. The second method I'll show you is using an oscillating multi-tool. I'm using this one with a straight wood and plastic blade, and I'm just going to lay it flush against the trim and run the blade up along the edge. It cuts with very little effort. When I'm done in one direction, I just turn it over and I run the blade down to the bottom. Alright, so I just showed you 2 quick ways of doing it. Score and snap, or use an oscillating tool. Here's the big hitch. When you use an oscillating tool, it has a tendency to do some damage. Like right here. You can see it damaged some of the paint, and it doesn't have quite the clean cut as the score and snap method. So if you're having a hard time, if you have limited mobility, or if you have perhaps arthritis or some other issue that is making the score and snap method difficult, you can use the oscillating tool, but my recommendation is to cover any painted area with masking tape. That way, any rubbing caused by the oscillating tool isn't going to damage your finish. I am not going to use the oscillating tool anymore. I don't need to. I just wanted to quickly demonstrate it so you could see how it would work. Okay, I'm done. Cutting these off took a little bit longer than I expected, but it has nothing to do with cutting them off because the cutting only took a few minutes. But moving these incredibly heavy windows all around this space by myself proved to be challenging. So let's go inside and let's talk about design instead. All right, I'm back. I promised I'd come back and tell you a little bit about the design, and probably more importantly, what you want to know is how to save money. This is actually the third time I try and record this. My living situation makes it a little bit difficult to record sometimes, so my apologies if I'm not getting through things as fast as I want, or if I miss things. It is what it is. So, now that I have my windows prepped and ready for install, let's talk about money. Because I talked about how I saved money with these windows, but there is a catch. This really only works if you're building a completely custom house. So when you typically buy a house from the builder, they're going to have their own designers, and their designer or architect will have already designed all the windows and how they fit in the house. What that means is, even if they allow you to buy the windows, because chances are they want to install the windows, cha-ching, they want the money, but even if they allow you to do your own windows, the chances of using this method is actually quite small. See, you already have all of the openings pre-designed, and now you have to go find overstock windows that are an exact fit for those openings. And while you may find a couple of windows that work, chances are you're not going to get very far with that method. However, if you're designing a custom house and designing it entirely yourself, like I was doing, I can reverse engineer that. So I can go out and find windows and then retrofit them into the house, design the openings to fit the windows that exist. And that's how you end up saving a ton of money. But there are a lot of things that you need to be aware of when you're doing this method. First, you need a builder who will let you design your own openings and install your own windows. Or not necessarily install them, but purchase them, supply your own windows. Like I said, most builders will not let you do that. But if you do find someone, that's your step in the door. The second thing you need to do is find an auction or an online seller who has a bunch of overstock windows, ideally that all match. Because from the outside, you don't want all of your windows to have different styles or colors. You need them to match as closely as possible. At very least on the same face that you're looking at. So for example, you might find gray windows at the front of the house and white or black windows at the back of the house. That would be acceptable depending on your design, but it doesn't always work. So the first step is to find a place where you can find as many windows as possible. The next thing I did was I made a list of all of the windows they had and all of the sizes so that I could get an understanding of how to pair them and which windows might fit different spaces. Because it's not prudent to go out and buy a bunch of windows and then try and figure out how they fit. You have to do the design at the same time. They have to go hand in hand. So you have to look at what you have, see what fits, and not purchase the ones that aren't going to work for you. Case in point, I purchased, I want to say 8 windows at the auction. There were about 12 to 13 of them when I was looking, but a bunch of them just did not work for my space. So once you have your list, it's time to go into your design and see how they fit. So I'm going to load up my design here, and we'll talk a little bit about how I placed the windows into my design. So here is my house model, and you can see all the windows are in there. Ignore the floating roof. That's because the software won't do what I need it to do. But you can see all the windows are there. But before I get to this, let's go over to my 2D view And I'll point out all the windows I got at the auction and where they ended up getting placed. And then I'll talk a little bit about the design of that. So the windows that we got at auction are at the front of the house, this large 3-panel window that is going in front of the stairs going to the basement. There's a smaller window here for the powder room. There are 3 identical tall, skinny windows that were placed in the music room at the front of the house. There's a medium-sized window that went in the ensuite, and 2 matching windows that are in the bedroom above the bed. All of the other windows, the patio door here, the extra windows in the bedroom, the 2 patio doors in the main space. Let me zoom out a bit. Whoa, there you go. The 2 patio doors in the main space and these 2 side windows were the ones that were purchased to enhance the design that I already had. But how did I get to the design that I had? A lot of it has to do with normal design concepts, mostly rhythm and composition, and also just logic. Ultimately, it just comes down to logic. For example, speaking of rhythm, I mentioned that the window in front of the stairs here is a 3-panel window. So you'll notice I put at the front of the house a 3-panel window, followed by 3-panel windows. So that visually creates a little bit of rhythm. You'll see the 3 windows on the left, you'll see the 3 windows on the right, and your brain kind of understands the marriage of those 2 and creates a sense of cohesion. I could obviously have reversed that. I could have put this large window in the music room and separated these 3 smaller windows in front of the steps. However, in doing so, you'll notice that this window would have been fairly small against this long wall in the music room, which would have created an imbalance. That window would have ultimately felt small in this space. And then, on top of that, I wouldn't have any way to extend that further. And that's where things get really interesting. Not only by creating rhythm with the 3 windows at the front, but I made it so that you get a 180-degree surround view when you're in the sweet spot at the piano. Let me switch over to the 3D view and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So when you are at the piano, you have windows completely surrounding you. So you have a full view of the front yard. You'll also notice that my supplemental windows were designed to match the windows at the front of the house. They are in fact a little bit bigger and they go down lower. I'll talk about that in another video, but it was designed specifically so that everything feels cohesive. Everything feels like it belongs. While I'm in this view, let's move over to the other windows so you can see their placement and how I designed them. This is the medium-sized window in the ensuite. As I mentioned, it's directly in front of the tub here, and it's designed so that when you're sitting at the tub, you can look out at the stars at night. Over in the bedroom, you see the 2 identical windows that are placed above the bed. These windows, again, are designed so that when you're lying in bed, you can look up at the stars. And I enhanced these by doing, again, a full surround of your environments. So as you're in bed, you have a view of the property from just about every angle all around you. It's a really great look, and it really opens up the bedroom in a way that allows you to feel cozy and comfortable, but still open and airy. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. I have another video coming where I'm going to be talking about some of my design inspirations, and in that video I'll talk about some of my design decisions and why they had to be made the way they were. That'll come probably in a week or so, depending on my recording ability. But please let me know in the comments what you want to see. I have a ton of topics to cover with this build. I've had so much to work on, but I want to know what you are interested in seeing. Do you want to know about my kitchen design? Do you want to know about bathroom design? Are you more interested in, I don't know, electrical design or HVAC design? Those are all things that had to go into this build, and I have all of this knowledge now. I just don't really know what to do with it. So please help guide me. Let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I'll create a video for you. How's that? All right, that's it. I'll see you soon. Bye.